Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel, Be Better Gamer Wrestling. I am Be Better Gamer and this is your place for Let's Plays of WCW NW Revenge, WWF No Mercy, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, but today I'm doing a WWE 2K16 episode. No, it's not an AKI developed wrestling game, but you know, doing WWE 2K16 Let's Plays allows me to talk about modern day wrestling with my AKI wrestling games that is the focus of this channel. I talk a lot about wrestling, you know, as it was during the time those games were being developed. And yeah, sometimes I, you know, go off on long tangents about the state of wrestling today all around the world, but I wanted to get 2K16. It's actually something I wanted to do last year with 2K15. Never got around to it, but I wanted to get 2K16 and do Let's Plays so I can talk about what's going on today in the world of wrestling, not just WWE, but in the world of wrestling. And we're gearing up for the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble is coming up soon, so what better way to start than to start with some predictions? And I know I'm starting super early with this, but ever since the end of WrestleMania, ever since Seth Rollins cashed in his Money in the Bank, in my mind, two thoughts went in my head. First, this is really awesome. I'm really happy for Seth Rollins. That was the first thought. Second thought was Brock Lesnar is winning the 2016 Royal Rumble. I am not kidding when I said that. When after WrestleMania ended, I swore, I was like, I'm gonna bet all my chips on Brock Lesnar winning the Royal Rumble, and Kalisto's gonna come out second. No, I didn't bet that. But you know, how funny would that be, especially now that we know Big Show is drawn number one for the Royal Rumble. So let me put this episode into some context, because I'm gonna have a few Royal Rumble prediction videos every Sunday until we get to the Royal Rumble. And I'm recording this the day after the Monday Night Raw, where Sheamus and Roman Reigns fought for the World Heavyweight Championship, and Vince McMahon was the guest referee. So I'm going to put that into context. So this is before next week's Raw, where it's already been announced that Brock Lesnar is showing up. I don't know why WWE loves to do that. They love to spoil stuff for us. You know, John Cena's coming back next week. Tune in. Brock Lesnar's coming back next week. Tune in. You know, you're giving people an option. Don't give people an option. Just give us the surprises so that we can all tweet about it. Talk about, hey, did you see Raw last night? Nah, I didn't watch it. Raw's whack. Oh, you missed it. Brock Lesnar showed up. What? Oh, I'm gonna go home and watch it right now. You know, like, what happened to that? What happened to the surprise factor? So, whatever. I'm pretty sure next week they're gonna talk about him, you know, staking his claim in the Royal Rumble. And in my mind, I always envisioned it that he wouldn't be announced as being part of the Royal Rumble. He would just show up and win it. But whatever. A lot has changed since the day before Raw in terms of what I wanted to talk about in this video. Here comes Bray Wyatt, another guy I gotta talk about in this video. Because the day before this, you know, before Raw, I was just gonna talk about Brock Lesnar and talk about a few of the other people that are gonna be in the Royal Rumble, but why I think Brock Lesnar is gonna win or should win the Royal Rumble. And then Raw happened, and now Roman Reigns has to defend his World Heavyweight title in the Royal Rumble match. Now we're still a few weeks away from Royal Rumble. A lot can change. You know, they can take the title off of Roman Reigns somehow, because right now the stipulation as it stands is that Roman Reigns is defending his World Heavyweight Championship. And if we know anything about wrestling, is that a lot can happen in a week. A lot can happen in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You know, a lot can happen the night before an event. So, but as it stands right now, I'm going to talk about this episode with the awareness, with the knowledge that Roman Reigns is in the Royal Rumble, which is something I didn't expect, honestly, before Monday night. My whole, you know, goal of talking about Brock Lesnar being in the Royal Rumble was talking about it with the sense that Roman Reigns was defending his title in a regular match at Royal Rumble. But now that now that Roman Reigns has to defend his championship, it changes things a little bit. But I still think that the Beast, Brock Lesnar is going to win the Royal Rumble, and here's why. Here's a few things. One, because he could do that to Sin Cara. Two, I'm getting the hang of this game, so I'm actually really enjoying playing this. You know, again, it's not the AKI wrestling games, the game engine is completely different. But you know what? It's growing on me. It's not perfect. I know a lot of people have a lot of issues with this game, but you know what? I like playing this game. Once you learn how it plays, you kind of get a feel for it, and then things become natural, and then you start to do cool stuff. And the presentation of this game is great. And I'm only playing on the Xbox 360 version. I don't have the Xbox One version or the PS4 version. I have just a regular Xbox 360 version. I'm playing on the normal difficulty, but I am having a lot of fun and playing the Royal Rumble. It took a few Royal Rumbles to get the hang of it, but you know, eventually I was able to go through the Royal Rumble as Brock Lesnar. And when I organized the roster for the Royal Rumble, which is, you know, the first point I should talk about, is I found it very difficult to include wrestlers in the Rumble. You know, I kind of sat in the Booker seat. Who am I going to put in the Royal Rumble match? And this was when I did this, when I recorded the gameplay of this video. I did not know Roman Reigns was going to be in it. Okay, I did not know he was going to be in the actual Royal Rumble. So I'm sitting around going through the WWE 2K16 roster, and it's stacked. You know, there's a lot of people in that game that I'm like, oh man, should I put this person in it? Should I put that person in it? Oh, there's no point of having this person in it. But now, with so many things changing in the landscape of WWE right before the Royal Rumble, it makes it that much harder to think about who exactly is going to be in the Rumble with the World Heavyweight title. Sin Cara might get bumped off. Honestly, if I was doing this again, if I had to re-record the gameplay out of this, I would take out about a good 8 or 9 of the people that are in the Royal Rumble in this match. And also, you got to remember, 2K16 doesn't have guys like Alberto Del Rio, doesn't have guys like Braun Strowman, okay? Doesn't have the Dudley Boys. Very possible that some of those people, I mean, definitely Alberto Del Rio is going to be in the Rumble. Braun Strowman's definitely going to be in the Rumble. You know, I have Luke Harper in here right now. Bray Wyatt was in there earlier. Are all 4 Wyatts going to be in the Rumble? Or is it just going to be 3 of the 4 of them? You know what I mean? Like, they weren't too clear on that. But, you know, I definitely got to believe Braun Strowman's going to be in it. And at least Bray Wyatt. So I'm thinking Strowman, Wyatt, and Harper. Maybe they'll throw in all 4 and we'll get like a little bit of a reimagining of when CM Punk had his group in the Rumble and they were tossing everyone out before Cena showed up. Here's Kevin Owens. Is Kevin Owens still going to be... Is Kevin Owens going to be Intercontinental Champion when Royal Rumble is over? You know, in my TLC predictions video, I wanted to see him retain the title and hold the title over into WrestleMania. Now, he could possibly win the Rumble and win the championship. Although I think that might not happen. Who knows? Who knows who's going to win this championship? I'll tell you one thing. If it's not Brock Lesnar, it's not going to be Roman Reigns. And I tell you why. Because they're setting up Roman Reigns as this great, you know, babyface, overcoming all the odds. There's no more odds to overcome if you win the Royal Rumble match and your championship was on the line. It's never happened before. This is the second time the championship has been on the line. The first time was in 1992 in my favorite Royal Rumble of all time when Ric Flair won it. The title was vacant. So there was no champion going into it, but whoever won the championship. Flair was drawn number 3, and he ended up winning the whole championship. My favorite Royal Rumble of all time. I used to love watching that Royal Rumble over and over as a kid, and I remember all the big spots, all the big moments, Macho Man showing up, you know, going after Jake the Snake, Piper showing up, having just won the Intercontinental Championship that night from the Mountie. So many cool things happened in that Rumble, but you know, Ric Flair winning it, that was the big highlight for me as a kid. But here, you know, they're setting it up, the Authority, Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, and you know, by proxy Triple H, even though he hasn't been on TV since being attacked by Roman. They're all doing this to take the title off of Roman Reigns. I don't know why they gave him a title shot in the first place. That's my little smart ass voice. You know, he lost the match at TLC. That's it. He doesn't have the title anymore. You know, it's gone. He lost it. He lost the title Survivor Series. got the rematch at TLC. Why give him a title shot the next night? So whatever. They're just keep putting him in these situations where he can win. But the Royal Rumble match actually seems like something that he definitely has the odds against him. Now, again, we are several weeks behind. Maybe they'll change it. Maybe it'll be a 40-man Royal Rumble instead of a 30-man Royal Rumble. I mean, Jericho just announced that he's going to be in the Rumble. And honestly, I don't see Jericho winning it, obviously. But he is taking up a slot. Every person that has announced so far, that's a slot they're taking up. So the possibilities of who's going to be in it, and with how stacked the roster is at the moment, not counting all the surprises that could happen still. And I have another video that I have planned for next week where I'm going to talk about the one major surprise that, if it were to happen, would change everything. But I'm gonna keep from talking that because I want to keep the focus on Lesnar. But we don't know. My original idea was Lesnar was going to enter the Royal Rumble in the beginning, somewhere in the beginning, maybe 1, maybe 7, somewhere up front, and just dominate, just destroy, and just solidify his rightful place as the heir to the throne. Lesnar never lost the title. He wasn't even pinned at WrestleMania. It was Roman Reigns who got pinned by Seth Rollins. And then Lesnar got suspended, if we remember, air quotes suspended. Eventually was allowed back to have his rematch with Seth Rollins. Had Seth Rollins beat in the middle of the ring, Undertaker shows up, kicks him in the nuts, and then we go on to resolve the Undertaker-Lesnar feud exactly like how I envisioned it. I'm not even making this up. I was telling people what's gonna happen. People are like, oh, Lesnar, my friends, when I say people, like friends I know and people I talk to about wrestling, I was telling everyone, we're gonna have to tie up Undertaker Lesnar before WrestleMania, more so for Taker's sake, because this is Taker's farewell tour. I mean, you gotta believe he's retiring at WrestleMania, even though they haven't said anything. You gotta believe that's gonna happen, and they're not gonna do Taker Lesnar 2. Taker Lesnar 3 at WrestleMania because, they just wouldn't do it as Taker's last retirement match. It's a little too obvious that Lesnar was gonna go over, and also you can't really have that whole big, farewell goodbye if Lesnar's there in the picture, because Lesnar was, his feud with Taker is very much like I am beating the shit out of Taker, and and we got to see that in Hell in a Cell. It was a very physical, violent match, but a very fitting end to the Taker Lesnar story. Now he is done with Taker. He's got no other storylines to wrap up in the WWE, with the exception of the fact that he doesn't have the title that belongs to him. And you gotta believe that when Seth Rollins got injured, it changed everything they wanted to do. Okay? And I honestly think that it was probably supposed to be Lesnar and Rollins, or maybe even possibly a triple threat with Lesnar, Rollins, Taker, or maybe really fantasy dream booking Lesnar, Taker, Rollins, Ambrose, and you have a Shield reunion against Lesnar to keep him from winning the title. I don't know, that's just me. This is fantasy booking, super fantasy booking, but none of that's going to happen because Seth Rollins is gone, so they got to go in a different direction. Right? I'm not saying that was the direction they were going to go in, but that was the direction I was going in, so I got to go in a different direction. So the way I see it now, the way I am predicting is that Lesnar's definitely going to be in the Rumble. I'm not as confident as thinking as he's going to be in the first half of it. I honestly think he'll probably be in the later half, especially with guys like Cena in it. Braun Strowman's a big dude. He'll probably eliminate a bunch of people. So they'll probably have a lot. And, you got the Big Show starting out. So they have a lot of big people already in the first half. I doubt they'll throw Lesnar in that first half because of it. I see him showing up in the second half. I see him making it to the Final Four. And I don't know if he's the one that eliminates Roman Reigns. Because again, if Roman Reigns is in it, that's the big question. Who eliminates Roman Reigns? That's going to be a big deal. And how does that affect WrestleMania? A lot of people are predicting that Triple H might be in the Rumble, which I don't know. I mean, if Triple H is in the Rumble, then he has to be there to eliminate Roman Reigns, but not win it, because then that could possibly set up Triple H Roman Reigns. But again, if Lesnar wins the Rumble, then who does he face at WrestleMania? And that's the tricky thing. That's the tricky thing about anyone who wins this Royal Rumble. Who do they face at Mania? Do they face Roman Reigns? Because if you think about it, the whole point is to keep the title off of Roman Reigns, right? So what's the end goal? What's the end goal when you take the title off of him? The Authority, they kept him from winning the title, or actually the Leagues of Nations, but they're working with the Authority. They kept him from winning TLC, and then the next night they gave him a title shot. So what guarantee do we have that the Authority aren't going to keep giving Roman Reigns title shot after title shot, even though they take it away? At Fastlane, Roman Reigns, if you want to get back into the main event picture at WrestleMania, you have to beat me, the Game, or something like that, and it's kind of silly if you think about that. If you think about that's the end goal, or maybe not. Maybe I don't know. I really don't know. I'm still going with Brock Lesnar as the champion, because honestly, I feel like he should enter WrestleMania as the champion if we're gonna have Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar 2, which is what I also think was the plan after Seth Rollins got injured. You could very clearly see that they were going to put the title on Roman Reigns. And in my mind, I was already thinking WrestleMania, and I was thinking Lesnar Reigns 2. Now, Taker's in this, so I put Taker in the Royal Rumble. And back when I was predicting Undertaker's farewell tour, I do a lot of predicting. And I'm right a lot of the time. So hey, don't think I sound so crazy when I come up with these really crazy ideas, because sometimes they're either right or half right. But Taker, this is his farewell tour. I wouldn't be surprised if Taker's in the Rumble. And again, how cool is that? I mean, you'll probably even have a moment where Taker and Lesnar are in the Rumble at the same time. And I think that can add a lot to the story. I see Taker eliminating John Cena, and John Cena being upset about it, grabbing Taker's leg, and then like Lesnar or someone, or Reigns or someone, eliminating Taker, and then that sets us up Cena Taker for WrestleMania. That's what I see happening if Taker's in the Rumble. Taker has hit all his greatest hits. He did a Hell in a Cell. He did a tag team with Kane at Survivor Series. He was at Survivor Series. He was at SummerSlam. He's been hitting all the major marquee pay-per-views, because I really do think that WrestleMania at Texas is his final WrestleMania, is his final match in the company. Why not have him at the Royal Rumble? He did win the Royal Rumble before, went on to face Edge, I believe, and win the title. And Lesnar, when he won the Royal Rumble, he eliminated Taker to win it. So there's a lot of history there. There's a lot of history there with both of them leading up into this year's WrestleMania as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Taker's in it. I hope they don't announce that one. They're announcing that that Lesnar is coming up to the Raw next week from when I'm recording this. And in the house shows, Lesnar has been facing the League of Nations a lot. He's been facing the League of Nations, probably as tune-up matches, to get the ring rust off, this and that. They do that a lot for a lot of wrestlers before they return. But you gotta believe that Lesnar is coming back as a babyface, okay? So here's another thing. If Lesnar doesn't win the Royal Rumble, which I think he will, who takes him out, and then what do you do with him in WrestleMania? It would be kind of weird to have a WrestleMania where Brock Lesnar isn't in the world title picture, because again, I'm really big about closure. I get really I try not to get upset too much with wrestling. with WWE, because it's wrestling, and I've been watching it for so many years, and you kind of get used to being disappointed, not seeing certain things going a certain way, and politics are involved, this and that, blah blah blah. So it can get kind of very demoralizing if you get too invested in it. But the one big pet peeve of mine when it comes to WWE specifically is when they don't close storylines, when we leave storylines open for whatever reason, when they just abandon a story. Randy Orton still technically hasn't gotten his world title shot since losing at WrestleMania 30 when Daniel Bryan won. I'm not a huge I'm not a huge Randy Orton fan, but for like the whole year I was like, yo, when's Randy Orton gonna get his title shot, his one-on-one title shot? He hasn't gotten his single title shot yet. He still deserves it technically. We still haven't finished that story. So WWE isn't no stranger to abandoning what has happened the year previous. Randy Orton wasn't in the title picture at the following WrestleMania. It was Seth Rollins not Seth Rollins. It was Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Randy Orton was nowhere to be found. Randy Orton beat Seth Rollins at the beginning of the night, but again, he still didn't get his title shot after that. He was involved in a 4-way with the Shield, and he got triple powerbombed. But so I wouldn't be surprised again if Lesnar doesn't end up in the world title. But I think in terms of closure, in terms of the fact that we only have so many more years left with Lesnar with the company probably, and especially since he only works limited dates and limited events, you gotta put him in the world championship picture. And to him, but now if he's gonna be coming back as a babyface, then who's the top heel he's gonna be facing at WrestleMania? Is that the time you turn Roman Reigns heel? If you think about it, and I just eliminated Sami Zayn, and I want to talk about Sami Zayn in a bit, but if you think about it, this can all be a big setup. Roman Reigns has finally gotten over with the fans, at least a large chunk of the fans that have been booing him. Now he comes out to cheers, and a lot of it is because he comes out and he's punching Vince McMahon in the face, he's spearing, Triple H, he's, talking down to Stephanie McMahon, and the fans love that because they love to hate the authority. But a part of me thinks this is all big giant setup. The Rock did the same thing, and a lot of people called for Roman Reigns to turn heel when he wasn't quite working as a babyface, when people weren't quite warming up to him as fast as maybe it seemed like WWE would have wanted you to. And maybe that was intentional to finally get him over to where finally fans embraced him. And it's all just a big setup for Roman Reigns to turn heel at WrestleMania. If Roman Reigns loses the Royal Rumble, and let's say Brock Lesnar goes in as the champion, and let's say somehow, some way Roman Reigns works his way back in to the WrestleMania main event, they're gonna make it try to seem like Roman Reigns is the good guy who was wrong. And in a way, he was, because he lost his title against odds obviously no one could probably win against. I mean, if you put in the Royal Rumble, and who knows what number he'll get. But Lesnar reigns too. Lesnar is gonna still be the heavy favorite, even with the Roman Reigns we have now. The Roman Reigns that fans have been embracing for the past few weeks. People love Lesnar more. Simple as that. Ever since Lesnar beat Taker, people have kind of changed on him. They love seeing him come out and destroy stuff. Actually, it was when he beat Cena. That's when you really saw people, warm up to Lesnar. So I think Lesnar reigns too. It's gonna still be favored in Lesnar, even though Reigns would be portrayed as the baby face. But you can do a full-blown double turn there and commit 100% to Lesnar getting cheated out of the title because Roman Reigns fully teams with the authority. Because this has all been not a ploy, but it's the kind of thing where it's like, if you can't beat him, join him. And maybe Roman Reigns comes to that realization, well, if he can't beat the authority, even though he wins the small battles, he sees that down the line he's not going to win the war. Hey, might as well join him, because I'm not going to let Brock Lesnar take the title from me. That's not his championship. That's mine. I shouldn't have even been in the Rumble. So who knows? Maybe it could be that sort of thing. So, you know, I got a few more minutes in this video. I still got so many points I want to cover. So that's why I'm doing so many WWE 2K16, Royal Rumble 16 predictions. But, you know, what NXT people will we see show up? You know, maybe I'll talk about that in my next video, the NXT people, because so much stuff is happening. Because I do want to cover one more point. I want to see Roman Reigns, Lesnar 2, specifically because, you know, I just finished watching Wrestle Kingdom 10. And Wrestle Kingdom 10, you know, we had Shinsuke, not Shinsuke Nakamura. I'm thinking about Shinsuke Nakamura because all the rumors about him and AJ Styles and Gallows and Anderson and all Bullet Club and Balor Club. My mind. That's why I'm thinking Nakamura, because I'm so excited that they might actually be coming to the WWE. But that's another video for another day. And who knows, maybe one of them will show up. Oh, no, I don't even want to think about it. I don't even talk about it. It's too much. It's too much. Just keep it on Lesnar. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, I think can have a similar effect to Rock Austin 2, to Tanahashi Okada 2. Just a year ago, Wrestle Kingdom 9, Tanahashi was the champion. Okada was the challenger. And Okada couldn't do it. Okada couldn't get the big win. And that's, you know, another time that he couldn't get the big win. Now this time, Wrestle Kingdom 10, Okada was the champion, defending against Tanahashi, but he still hadn't gotten the big win over Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom. Tanahashi had beaten him at every single Wrestle Kingdom. So the pressure was on. And, you know, a lot of people were like, oh, Tanahashi, Okada again? But because of the history, because of the, you know, the fact that Tanahashi, in a way, always had the lead on Okada, Wrestle Kingdom 10, I mean, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. I'm about to spoil it. So brace yourselves. All you New Japan fans who, for some reason, you're watching this video, you're not watching Wrestle Kingdom 10, what are you doing? Get your priorities in order. I'm giving you permission to go watch Wrestle Kingdom 10 instead of watch my, you know, predictions video about Brock Lesnar winning the Rumble. But it was the best one out of their series. And when Okada finally won, it made it that much more important. And you know, in a way, you earned all those previous matches, and you earned going through the motions of, oh, not again, you know, because then it was like, you know what, this is worth it though, because we got to this point. And I think Reigns and Lesnar too can reach that, especially if we get a big Roman Reigns heel turn, and that could set up a big Brock Lesnar return as a babyface. So we'll see what happens. A lot more to talk about. This is just the first in my many Royal Rumble 16 predictions, but right away, I am calling it now. I've been calling it in WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar, your winner of the 2016 Royal Rumble. Let me know what you think. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Check out my other Let's Plays. Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, WrestleMania, WWF No Mercy, and WCW NWA Revenge. And until then, till next time, thank you for watching, and keep watching wrestling.